Hey, how's that Rings of Power show been getting along?
Boy, that escalated quickly. That really got out of hand fast.
It jumped up a notch.
It did, didn't it?
It's good shit. Hey, everybody, and welcome to the first ever episode of Dazed and Reviewed. This is going to be a show where I try to dive into the deep, dark haze of modern day entertainment to try to maybe string together a coherent thought or two for your entertainment. So let's get started. And what creative void could possibly be deeper or darker than Amazon's new series, The Rings of Power? And I think it's pretty apparent where this review is going to be going, but I will say I honestly did try to give this the fairest shot that I possibly could. I watched the 2 episode premiere with an open mind. And just to be clear, I am by no means a lore master in regards to Lord of the Rings. I read the books when I was a kid, read The Hobbit, the Lord of the Rings trilogy, loved it, loved the Peter Jackson movies as well. The first one, not the Hobbit trilogy. Those were equally as garbage as this show. Although I have a sneaking suspicion that these are going to be getting the Star Wars prequel treatment in a couple years, depending on how badly this show does and if they do anything to correct it. But if the fate of preceding franchises is anything to go off of and the level of decay that they've fallen into over the years, I would say that outcome is highly doubtful. Now, to get the positives out of the way, I do have to say this show is absolutely gorgeous. The set pieces look absolutely fantastic. The island of Numenor was just incredible. But that's pretty much where the good things stop. Because as far as everything else, dialogue, having likable characters, costume design, everything just really, really pales in comparison to what we've come to expect from a place like Middle-earth. So I want to go ahead and start diving into the actual show, and just for the sake of time, I'm going to be focusing mostly on Galadriel, since she is the main character, and there's already 3 episodes out, with a new one dropping tonight at midnight. So in the future, I'm going to try to go ahead and do a full recap per episode, but for right now, I'm just trying to get caught up. I'll probably have a few other mentions of different characters in the show, but mostly it's going to be focused on Galadriel. Or should I say, Galadriel. And the problems really start out right out of the gate. The first scene, we get some elf kids just playing around, and Galadriel sitting on a rock by herself, being antisocial, doing some origami or something. And the kids come up to her and ask her if she's done building whatever she's building, and it turns out she's building a boat. And they're like, it's not going to sail. And she's like, yeah, it will. And she puts it in the water, and it starts sailing, and then the kids throw a bunch of rocks at it and sink it. And then she beats one of them up because Yas Queen. And then her brother comes and breaks it up, and they go sit under a tree and get to have this really convoluted gem of a conversation about why boats float.
Do you know why a ship floats and stone cannot not? Because the stone sees only downward. The darkness of the water is vast and irresistible. The ship feels the darkness as well, striving moment by moment to master her and pull her under. But the ship has a secret. For unlike the stone, her gaze is not downward but up, fixed upon the light that guides her.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man? Bro, I'm out, man. That nigga's tripping.
I was actually halfway hoping Galadriel would then just start to explain buoyancy to him, but no, this is the level of pseudo-intellectual drivel that this show is just chock full of. We then get an exposition dump that's a complete ripoff. An homage to the intro to the Fellowship of the Ring. in which we're told a little bit about Morgoth and the atrocities he committed. But we never actually get to see them. We just see a dragon attacking an eagle, and then we get this really, really awkward battle scene where a elf he just hugs an orc just for a really, really long time. After that point, we get into the meat and potatoes of what the show is really about. Basically, after Morgoth is defeated, Sauron takes over. Galadriel's brother Finrod then decides he's going to go after Sauron, but he gets killed because he's neither stunning nor brave. Galadriel then loots her brother's corpse because apparently his dagger does like plus 16 bleed damage. And off she goes to smash both Sauron and the Patriarchy. So Galadriel spends the next few centuries hunting Sauron with a merry little band of elves. And after a while, apparently, every single one of the elves has decided that Sauron just doesn't exist anymore. Which, I mean, never mind that he's an immortal demigod. We haven't heard from him in what is like the elven equivalent of a weekend. So I guess that's that. You know, for a race that lives forever, elves do have awfully short memories. But hey, I mean, I guess in order to make our main character look like a visionary, everyone else has to be completely incompetent. Next, we get to see Galadriel and company climbing an ice wall, which, I don't know about you, but something seems really, really familiar about this scene. Nah, it must be all in my head. And would you take a look at these absolute fucking pussies? Way to drag a woman down. I mean, seriously, is there anything this new Galadriel can't do? I mean, besides, like, use her finger to point at a map? Seriously, look. She pulls out her knife just to point at the map. She's not even showing anything to anybody. She's just looking at it by herself. Oh, by the way, do you like this expression on her face? Because it's pretty much the only one she knows how to do. I don't know if the actress is trying to pull off stoic, but it really just comes off as 2 parts pissy and 1 part constipated. Also, where's their gear? These guys are out gallivanting through the middle of a blizzard with just chainmail on. I mean, they don't even got a duffel bag with some long johns in it. Like, seriously, I don't even feel bad for you. You dumbasses deserve to freeze to death out there. And wouldn't you know it, just before Homeboy freezes to death, they find Sauron's Fortress of Solitude. And then she finds a super duper secret mark that was carved on her brother. And after that, they fight a snow troll. And she literally takes it down single-handedly while the rest of her crew is just sitting around just kind of being assholes or just getting completely demolished. Because, you know, of course she does. At this point, her crew is like, listen, we've been out here for a couple of centuries. I'm pretty sure we've lost at least 3 nuts collectively to the frostbite. We're ready to go home. Let's go home. And she's like, nah, we're going forward. And they're like, nah, we're not. Then they all lay their swords down and are like,
Look, you can stay over here, but I'm going over here.
Young man, I have had it!
No. You here, me here. Screw you guys, and me going home.
So next, Galadriel goes back home. And I'm going to try to breeze through this next bit because a lot of it is just, you know, characters being stuck in a holding pattern. But King Gil-galad decides, you know what, you're so much of a pain in my ass, I don't want to deal with you anymore, so I am going to let you go to paradise, which seems like a pretty good deal. But she's on the boat, and then she just decides, nah, I don't want to go to heaven, and she jumps off the boat from the Grey Havens in the middle of the sea. Just hundreds of miles offshore. Absolutely no plan for what she's going to do. She just starts swimming across the sea. But as luck would have it, she comes across a bunch of other people who are shipwrecked, one of whom is what most people are speculating is either Sauron or maybe the Witch King or Ringwraith or something like that. Mainly because he's the only competent man in the show, so you know he's going to turn out to be a total evil asshole. But anyway, she and Dude sort of just kick it in the middle of the sea until Elendil picks him up, takes him back to Numenor, which for some reason we find out that the Numenorians don't like the elves. Why? No clue. But they get taken in front of the Queen, where Galadriel tries to get them to help her and give her a boat by being a total fucking bitch. That's kind of her MO throughout the entire show. She just acts like an asshole to everybody and then just expects people to help her and do what she wants. As one would expect, the Queen doesn't take too kindly to this. Then her and Galadriel get into a queefing match over who's the bossiest girl boss of them all. Until finally Harbrand steps in and is like, hey, I know you guys don't want us here, and you really hate elves, but I think I have a solution. Why don't you let us stay here just for a few days until you figure out what to do with us? This show is so stupid. It's so dumb. I mean, there's only really two options. You don't want them there. They don't want to be there. So either you need to just kill them or just give them a boat and let them leave. It's really not that difficult of a situation. But if they don't hang out there, Galadriel will never find out some super secret information about the mark that was on her brother and that she found in the Fortress of Solitude. So, writing, it's hard, isn't it? Oh, and while we're at it, Galadriel goes to Elendil and she finds some super secret information about a mark that was on her brother and in the Fortress of Solitude. So, it turns out it was actually a map that shit's going down in the Southlands. So, now it's time for her to go back to Middle-earth to warn the guy who tried to send her to Paradise because he was tired of her that some shit's about to happen. Oh, and she really, really likes riding horses. Somebody better start polishing off those Emmys because this girl has got range. And that's really it. That's pretty much all of Galadriel's arc. It's nothing really inspiring or riveting or engaging. Just something that you would expect an amateur writer to be able to pull off. As for other major plot points, the Fresh Prince of Rivendell discovers some bad titty milk from a cow and goes off to investigate and gets himself captured by some orcs. Not Gandalf landed right by the not hobbits, and then we were blessed with this scene.
Food. It's food. Food. They do eat where you're from, don't they? Of course they do, Nori. What a silly question.
Man, I don't know about you guys, but that's probably the most confusing thing I've beat my meat to in a hot minute. What? Just me? If there's one word I can use to describe the Rings of Power so far, it's probably empty. We have all the locations, we have the characters, but it doesn't seem to have any substance. There's no depth to any of it. It's kind of as if the writers were so busy jerking themselves off over the diversity that they put in their show that they forgot to actually write a story. And at this point, I think the best that we can hope for is that this is going to fail so miserably that Amazon is going to be forced to reevaluate because they've already committed so much money to this endeavor that in the subsequent seasons, maybe we'll see a lot of damage control and a complete 180, but I highly doubt it. But here's to hoping that I'm proven wrong. Now, if you guys have made it this far in the video, I just want to say I really appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. I know this is a little bit condensed, but I was just trying to get caught up on the first 3 episodes because I had a little bit of a late start to this. But I plan on doing one video each week for all the following episodes and diving a little bit deeper from here on out. So if you enjoyed this video, feel free to subscribe, and why don't you go ahead and give that like button a tap for daddy. You know you want to. Come on. Just tap it. Do it, you dirty little...